Have you ever wondered what would happen if you simply said nothing during a traffic stop? Not rude, not argumentative, not aggressive. Just nothing. Most California drivers assume staying silent will make things worse. They think the officer will get angry, write more tickets, search the car, or even arrest them on the spot. But what if I told you that many of the biggest mistakes drivers make happen after they start talking? Today, we are going to look at what actually happens when you remain silent during a traffic stop, what the law says, what officers can and cannot do, and why this topic creates so much confusion. And if you're a California driver, you need to know this before your next interaction with law enforcement. Let's get started. Imagine you're driving home from work. Your day has been normal. Then suddenly you see flashing red and blue lights in your mirror. Your heart rate jumps. You pull over. The officer approaches your window. Then comes the question almost everyone has heard. Do you know why I pulled you over? Most people immediately begin talking. Maybe they apologize. Maybe they start explaining. Maybe they admit they were speeding. Maybe they start telling a story. And that's where many drivers accidentally create problems for themselves, because every word you say can become evidence. Now let's clear up one of the biggest myths on the internet. Remaining silent does not give you a free pass. If you are speeding, silence doesn't magically erase the violation. If you ran a stop sign, silence doesn't make the ticket disappear. But silence can prevent you from handing the officer information they did not already have. Think about it this way. If someone asks, "How fast were you going?" and you answer, "Honestly, I think I was doing about 80. You just became a witness against yourself. The officer didn't have to prove your statement. You gave it voluntarily. That's why experienced attorneys often tell people to be careful about unnecessary conversation during police encounters. Now, let's talk about what California drivers are generally required to do. You may be required to provide identification and vehicle-related documents when lawfully requested. You should comply with lawful instructions. You should remain calm and respectful. What you do not have to do is answer every investigative question that comes your way. That's where many drivers get confused. There's a difference between providing required documents and engaging in a voluntary conversation. Those are not the same thing. Here's a real-world example. An officer asks, "Where are you coming from tonight?" Seems harmless, right? Maybe, but maybe not. The driver answers, "I just had a few drinks with friends." Now the entire traffic stop has changed. The officer did not force that information out of the driver. The driver volunteered it. That's why legal experts constantly emphasize thinking before speaking. Now here's something that surprises people. Silence by itself is not evidence of guilt. Many people assume that if they don't answer questions, officers automatically know they're guilty. That's not how things work. People stay silent for many reasons. Maybe they're nervous. Maybe they don't understand the question. Maybe they simply don't want to answer. Silence alone does not automatically prove wrongdoing. However, this is where things get important. The way you remain silent matters. Some people think remaining silent means acting hostile, crossing their arms, refusing basic instructions, arguing, rolling up the window. That is not what we're talking about. A calm, respectful interaction is very different from a confrontational one. You can be polite and still choose not to answer investigative questions. Those two things can exist together. And honestly, that's usually the smartest approach. Now let's address another common fear. Will the officer get angry if you don't answer questions? Maybe. Maybe not. Officers are human beings. Every interaction is different. But your goal should never be making decisions based on whether someone might be annoyed. Your goal should be protecting your rights while remaining respectful. Those are not opposing goals. You can do both at the same time. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Many drivers talk because silence feels uncomfortable. Human beings naturally want to fill awkward moments. We want to explain ourselves. We want to justify ourselves. We want the officer to understand our side. But sometimes the more people talk, the deeper they dig themselves. That's why attorneys often say the mouth can become the most dangerous part of a traffic stop. Not because talking is always bad, but because unnecessary talking creates unnecessary risk. Now imagine two drivers. Driver number one gets pulled over and immediately starts explaining everything. Within 2 minutes, they've admitted speeding, admitted being distracted, admitted being tired, and admitted they weren't paying attention. Driver number two remains calm, provides documents, follows instructions, and avoids volunteering extra information. Which driver gave the officer more evidence? The answer is obvious, and that's the entire lesson. The issue isn't whether you're innocent or guilty. The issue is whether you're helping build a case against yourself. Before we finish, I want to make something very clear. This is not legal advice for any specific situation. Laws can change. Facts matter. Every traffic stop is different. But understanding your rights and thinking carefully before speaking is something every California driver should learn. Because the next traffic stop probably won't happen when you're prepared. It'll happen when you're tired, stressed, distracted, or in a hurry. And that's exactly when people make mistakes. So remember this. Being respectful does not require you to volunteer information. Being polite does not require you to answer every question. And staying calm can often be your greatest advantage. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe because we're covering the legal rights most drivers never learn until it's too late. And I want to hear from you. Have you ever been pulled over and felt pressured to answer questions? Drop your experience in the comments below. If you found value in this video, share it with a friend or family member who drives in California. And if there are legal topics you'd like me to cover next, leave those in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.